The U.S. and Iran are scheduled to hold a third round of negotiations this week. With a huge U.S. military presence in the region, President Trump is curious why Iran still hasn't made a deal.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee is responding to criticism after his comments in an interview with Tucker Carlson. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports.
U.S. Special Envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are due to meet with Iran's foreign minister for a third round of talks in Geneva, Switzerland on Thursday. Witkoff says President Trump is puzzled that Iran hasn't already agreed to a deal.
Why under this sort of pressure with the amount of sea power, naval power that we have over there, why they haven't come to us and said, we profess that we don't want a weapon, so here's what we're prepared to do, and yet it's hard to sort of get them to that place.
With massive U.S. firepower in the region, President Trump is said to be considering preliminary limited military strikes to force Iran into an agreement. Israel is on its highest alert as it prepares for Iranian retaliation if the U.S. attacks Iran. In recent days, the IDF striking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon as the Iranian proxy would likely join the fight. Iran's president says the government will not yield to external pressure. The state news agency reports student protests at several universities following memorials for those killed in the January protests. Visiting U.S. Congressman Andy Ogles told CBN News in Jerusalem that regime change needs to be organic.
What we've seen over the last few weeks is that the Persian people, the people of Iran, want change. They want their country back. And so I think there's the opportunity for the United States to create that window for the Persian people to, assume their own destiny. But it has to be from the Persian people, the people of Iran. No American boots on the ground.
Ogles says the change would revolutionize Iran, the Middle East, and even the world.
They've destabilized regions all over, countries all over the world, and it'll be a huge shift and quite frankly opens up the opportunity at least for peace globally once Iran is no longer in the picture and quite frankly their global network of terror.
On the sidelines, Arab and Muslim nations condemned U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee's comment about the Middle East in an interview with Tucker Carlson last week. Carlson quoted from Genesis chapter 15 and asked Huckabee if Israel has a right to all that land. In part, Huckabee responded, it would be fine if they took it all. But the U.S. Embassy later pointed out it was taken out of context. Huckabee continued,
they're not asking to go back to take all of that, but they are asking to at least take the land that they now occupy, they now live in, they now own legitimately, and it is a safe haven for them.
He also said Israel isn't trying to take over Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, or Iraq, just trying to protect itself. U.S. Congressman Scott Perry, who is visiting Israel for the first time, told CBN News that the situation is complicated and it's important to see the facts on the ground.
A lot of people really don't fully understand what the people of Israel deal with on a daily basis, how close your adversaries are, and tactically the advantages they have based on terrain. All those kind of things are important for policymakers to know viscerally.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, all Ambassador Huckabee was doing was responding to what I consider a setup question. What's the grant? What's the promise to Abraham in the book of Genesis? And how broad is that geography? And when you read it, it's enormous. But that's not the situation on the ground in modern Israel today, and that's what he correctly pointed out. Here's the facts on the ground. The UN, under the mandate from the League of Nations, under the mandate that was granted to the UK after World War I, they continued that, and they called for a partition of Palestine into Israel and to a Palestinian state. What did the Palestinians do? What did the other Arab nations do to help their Arab brothers living there? Well, they declared war. And who won that war? Israel won that war. In the 1950s, they declared war again. There was another one. They lost that war. In 1967, there was another one. They lost that war. In 1973, there was another one. They lost that war. In all of that time, Israel kept offering them a Palestinian state. David Ben-Gurion famously offered them everything, including the Temple Mount, which was inconceivable, but he did it for the sake of peace. In every one of those opportunities, they never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. They had plenty of time to create their own state. They had plenty of time for peace. They had plenty of time to recognize what the UN had recognized, that the Jewish people belong in their ancestral homeland. They've refused to do it, and that's why you still hear the call from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Let us not join with that. They are clearly the aggressors. In other news, a major blizzard is closing schools and shutting down travel in the Northeast. Ephraim Graham has that story and more from the CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, millions of people are at home as heavy snow continues to pile up. The blizzard dropping as much as 2 to 3 inches of snow an hour from New York through Massachusetts overnight. Some areas already have more than a foot of snow, along with wind gusts topping 30 miles an hour. Some states are under travel bans because of the severe conditions. Airlines have canceled more than 5,000 flights, with air travel out of New York City and Boston hit the hardest. Heavy snowfall and strong winds will continue with blizzard conditions throughout the day. Secret Service agent shot and killed an armed man who drove onto President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, Sunday. They confronted 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin of North Carolina. Officers say he was carrying a gas can and a loaded shotgun when he pointed his gun at the agents, and that is when they shot and killed him. The president was at the White House when the incident occurred. Martin's family recently reported him missing. In Orlando, Florida this weekend, family, friends, and fans of Ron Kenoly gathered to pay respect to his legacy. The beloved worship leader took his songs of praise to more than 120 countries around the world. He died February 4th. As CBN's Kelly Wright discovered at the memorial service, Kenoly's music and ministry continue to inspire worshipers across generations.
For more than 40 years, Ron Kenoly didn't just lead worship services. He helped people meet God in a deeply personal way through praise and worship. At Judah Church, family, friends, and believers from around the world gathered to celebrate his life. His 3 sons honored their father the way he would have loved most, through tears, stories, and song. Blessing and honor, glory and power. They shared that although not a perfect man, he was a loving dad, determined to teach his sons to give God all glory, all power, and all honor. What he poured into his children, he also shared with many others.
It's been tough, his transition, He's always been a father figure. He's Doc and then he's Pops.
Kenoly invested personally in worshipers and musicians like concert pianist Alan Cruz, consistently pointing them to the true purpose of worship.
We traveled maybe 40 countries together, and I saw him more than just an artist or a leader. I saw him as a worshiper, a true worshiper.
If you're able, lift those hands high, worship the Lord.
Grammy-winning worship leader Israel Houghton says Ron's influence deeply shaped his life and ministry.
When I went into kind of being a professional, so to speak, and leading worship full-time, Ron Kenoly was the North Star of that.
I see the Lord.
For Don Moen, Ron became more than a partner on stage. He was a brother as they traveled the world to share Jesus through music.
I met him and I talked to him about doing a recording with Integrity Music, which turned out to be Jesus is Alive. And that was the beginning of it. But our hearts connected at the very first meeting.
What a pioneer from the beginning. He helped, along with others, change modern worship.
Give to other people what comes from the Word of God. I think that was the main thing with Doc. If you take any of his songs, they are all biblical.
Sam Kenoly shared that until the very end, his father never stopped doing what he was created to do, worshiping God.
He was singing new songs that he had wrote for hours, giving praise to God. And then he laid his head down and he went to sleep, and the Lord took him.
I take pleasure in worshiping you, Lord.
Ron Kenoly, a man who lived to worship God in spirit and truth. Kelly Wright, CBN News.
What a legacy. 700 Club host Terry Meeuwsen received a special honor this weekend. The National Religious Broadcasters recognized her with its Milestone Award for a lifetime of service spreading the gospel. Crowned Miss America in 1973, Terry used her platform to witness and share the gospel of Jesus Christ. In the early 1980s, she first appeared as a guest co-host on the 700 Club. In 1993, she joined CBN founder Pat Robertson as a daily host, remaining a faithful presence on this program for more than 3 decades. Off-screen, she and her husband Andy raised 7 children, 5 of whom were adopted. The challenges faced by her daughters from Ukraine led her to begin Orphans Promise in 2006. The ministry to vulnerable children in more than 40 nations now continues under CBN's Operation Blessing. In her remarks accepting the award, Terry expressed her gratitude for a career serving the Lord.
Honor beyond measure to receive this award, and it feels strange to receive an award for what has been such a blessing over the years. I know you all feel that too. When you're working for the Lord, every day is a privilege, every opportunity is a privilege, every open door is a blessing. So these have been years that have been surprising to me. God has always got surprises up his sleeve. And you know, when we say yes, a simple yes opens the door to so much more of what he wants to do. Obedience is the very best way to show that we believe. We live in a crazy world today, and there's a lot of mayhem, a lot of chaos. And yet, in the middle of it, how amazing is it that God deposits in each and every one of us his light, and allows us to stand in the darkness and shine for him. The darkness cannot extinguish the light.
Terry's light shines brightly. The Milestone Award is given for longevity and exemplary service in Christian broadcasting. Congratulations to Terry. Gordon?
Well, extraordinary service doesn't even begin to describe Terry Meeuwsen. And I love what you said in that wonderful speech, that obedience shows your belief, and you have lived that.
Well, can I say that the privilege of sitting next to your dad and you for all these years has blessed not just me, but my family. And being with all of you has been a blessing each day as well. I mean, that you get an award for that is kind of unbelievable.
You deserve it. I mean, I used to, when Dad occasionally would say some things, Terry being able to, okay, let's bring this back. It was an art form. It was just beauty in motion and just everything together. So I can't say enough good things about you,
You're
Terry.
so kind. I can't.
And what you've done with Orphans Promise, the number of countries where you're helping at-risk children, at-risk families, widows, single mothers is absolutely incredible. It's the Lord's work. It's pure and undefiled religion.
And another blessing to get to see God do it. It's awesome. Amen.